Hi, I'm Stephanie Hansen, and this is my Chapter 11 assignment on ability-based instruction. I looked up on two different websites on the National Education Association about if it's for or against ability-based instruction, and from what I read at the National Education Association, they are for the most part against it, not saying necessarily that kids don't need to be grouped to help work on different instruction levels, but not focused on for the entire instruction period. I also looked up at the Washington Post by Valerie Strauss about why ability grouping in schools is a large mistake, and it talked about kids get pigeonholed into being stuck in that same tracking group all the way through school. So if they're in the low group, they'll never push themselves to be a higher ability learner. I guess I agree with being against ability-based instruction. I do understand not all students are at the same ability in that they may not ever be, but it is important that we don't put some kind of constriction on each kid saying, oh, this is your group and this is the only group you're going to be in all the way through school. I think that definitely sets a tone or a precedence for what they can achieve and can't achieve. And so if we aren't pushing these kids or allowing them to be around different leveled learners and have different aspects of learning, that I think we're really holding them back. So, on things that I think are important when working with kids in instruction, I do think group work is important, but I think you need to have fluid groups that are mixed with higher, middle, and lower level learners. I think this will help students learn from one another and allow kids to want to strive to be higher learners or also learn from their peers. Another important thing when you are using groups, not to use the same groups all the time. They need to continually change, and also amongst the different curriculum areas such as math or reading or English grammar, to not have the same kids in the same groups all the time with all the different materials. I think that when we look at tracking kids or putting them in these specific ability-based learning groups, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, even though we're trying to pull these kids in and teach them the exact Common Core standards. I think it's important that yes, these kids are learning their essential learning standards, but there's different ways to do it, because if we're simply just teaching these specific things to these lower kids, that's all they have to learn. They're not ever going to use their higher level thinking or try to push their thinking into advanced. I think all kids need to be taught the essential standards in order to try to meet these state testing scores. And the kids who are struggling with these specific standards, doesn't mean they can't have additional help and maybe not even be grouped, but this is something our school does. Is for the high school kids, we have a 9th hour time, and it's kind of like an open study hall period, but they have to have a special checklist. So like if Susie is having trouble in calculus in the 20-minute 9th period hour, she may go visit her calculus teacher to get extra help. Or little Johnny is having trouble with advanced biology, he can go visit the advanced biology teacher. At the elementary level, our school has something called Student Success Period, and we have broken it into two different areas. One's for lower elementary and one's for upper elementary, and upper elementary consists of 4th, 5th, and 6th, and lower is K through 3. At this time, we have our different teachers of different grade levels meet up and help try to fulfill those different areas or there's gaps. So if there's kids in other classrooms that are missing the same standard, we pull like those 3 or 4 kids together and work on that specific standard or essential learning standard that they need to have. So it's not necessarily trying to pinpoint kids and like making them look bad. We're just trying to basically fill those gaps for them so they can be successful and move on to the next step of learning. I guess overall, I think kids need to be on some kind of learning instruction that's going to help them be successful, and all kids learn differently. And so I don't agree that tracking or ability-based grouping is the best for all kids. I think mixed group and working one-on-one, small groups, large groups, hands-on projects, I think it's a variety of learning tools, which is best for most kids. I think it's important as an educator that we focus on the needs of these students and how we best can fulfill their needs. So overall, I think ability-based instruction grouping is negative, and I think we need to do our best in order to give them their best shot at education. One last quote that I read off the Washington Post from Valerie Strauss. She says, "My position was not a matter of showing who was boss as a principal, but of my unshakable conviction that mixed ability classrooms are the best places for children to learn and to live." And I firmly believe that she's right, because I think if you have all the same ability of students in a classroom, they are not going to benefit from one another as they would from different level learners, different income status kids. You see a lot of economic or low economic students in those lower level groups, and I think that we need to start opening our horizons there for kids to be able to push out and move forward in life. And I guess that's everything I have to discuss about ability-based grouping. Thank you.